What's going on there, Twitch and YouTube world, and welcome to May's edition of Loadouts to help you win games. Sorry, it's been a little while, y'all. I'm not going to be honest. I think it's fair to say myself and many seasoned veterans of the community have been on a bit of a hiatus, playing different games, just trying to remix the experience. Anything at this point to just kind of step away and come back to the game so it feels refreshed. That doesn't mean we haven't been keeping up what's been changing with what's been going on, and most importantly, which weapons in the current meta are going to work best for you. So thanks for stopping by, and without further ado, we are going to get right on into it. First and foremost, before we actually do start the video, friendly reminder, mainnet is coming, and if you find yourself getting that email, I do recommend you liquidate your guns, whether it be buying items or, of course, hopping into your OTG Pro and then extending it with gun like I have for an unforeseeable future as well. To be honest with you, with how lackluster things have been feeling, the unpredictable changes that we've been experiencing, you're a little on the fence. You don't want to be paying $11.99 for a game you're not playing. Anyways, on to today's loadout series. We're going to first kick things off with some of the SMGs. I have a couple fan favorites that I think are really going to help you elevate your game if you're not using these already. I think the Tacoma is actually one of the most slept on SMGs in the game right now. I think a lot of folks are really gung-ho to dedicate their time putting in use with things like either the M4 or the AZV, as they are top cream of the crop weapons. But the Tacoma feels great. The natural round or circular bullet spread that this weapon has just kind of fits with the changes the devs have implemented when it comes to things like bullet spread, and the recoil is still extremely manageable, and that fast, rapid fire rate tends to do wonders for you. What I'm currently running on this setup is a Tacoma heavy barrel, a noise suppressor for the Tacoma compact flashlight, and the Tacoma drum mag. As a quick overview as to why we went the direction we went with some of these attachments, we'll start off with the heavy barrel. As you can see, it helps with that ADS spread, and that is something that you're really going to want to have across all of your weapon customizations. Just bringing those bullets into a tighter space going to help you hit those more frequently. When you find yourself ADSing, the sway is something that is also going to help you have a lot more control. And it's always important to consider how often taking fights in the air, and that's when you're usually going to be experiencing the most sway, or when you're doing a lot of high mobility things like running road runners and jumping off of a small bridge or something. You're going to want to be able to control that. Fall off range is always a bonus. We'd like to be able to shoot this SMG as far as humanly possible, as it is definitely going to get outpaced by most, if not all, the assault rifles right now. The noise suppressor honestly isn't really something we have to spend a lot of time on. Vertical recoil is always a bonus, but we want that added muzzle velocity just kind of stacking up on top of the heavy barrel. Again, we want this to feel as AR or assault rifle like as possible and just close those gaps. And hey, sound suppression is always a bonus. Last but not least is the flashlight, and we definitely do this because of some added sway and the added vertical recoil. You could go with the compact laser if you find you're shooting off of the hip a lot, but I'm a pretty heavy ADSer. Like I said, I like to use this kind of like an assault rifle, so I have stuck with the flashlight, and the drum mag is automatic no-brainer because more bullets, more opportunities to play. I like to double this up currently with the soldier backpack meta being so in tow. You can immediately dump a clip. If you don't get your target down right away within that first clip, swapping to the next one is a fantastic alternative. Just kind of gives you that infinite ammo kind of vibe. And of course, by the time you switch back to your first one, soldier backpack has got you restocked, reloaded, and back into the game. Now, we're going to talk about limbs here a little bit towards the end, but you can see, just to kind of scrape the surface, Slam Fist Roadrunner is definitely the top pick for me, and we'll get a little bit more into that down the road. But check out the Tacoma, y'all. Fantastic weapon. I think out of the SMG choices right now, this is definitely top 3. For me, it's personally top 2. Moving forward, we are going to now talk about the AZV-100 Doom Zero. This bad boy is still the cream of the crop. If you all watched my last video, I told you this was the diamond in the rough. And I had some hesitation at sharing this with the community because I had a feeling once it began to kind of spread like wildfire, everybody was going to be using it. And well, I'm not going to say it was my video that put everybody on, but it spread like wildfire. And the build hasn't changed. We're still using the noise suppressor for the AZV-100 and the stubby foregrip. You're probably wondering why this is probably a premier option, and we'll take a quick look at the stats as to why I personally recommend it. So as you can see, we get some additional ADS walk speed. There's going to be a lot of times you're moving forward while trying to hit your burst shots with this weapon. And like I said, when you're walking, that accuracy is really important. So just a little added mobility, because you're always going to ADS whenever you're using this particular weapon, is an automatic bonus. If for some reason you're looking for a good alternative to the stubby foregrip, the stabilizing foregrip is also a fantastic option. Not only do you get some vertical and horizontal reduction in terms of recoil, but the spread, if you want to add that extra 5% to keep those bullets tighter, this is definitely going to help. However, the AZV, and the reason why it's so dominant in this meta is with the devs making these major changes, specifically to the recoil and the spread of the rounds coming out of each of the weapons. The burst fire weapons in particular tend to be tight already. So there's kind of an advantage here just running the AZV, and you don't have to go out of your way to decrease the spread any further. But this is probably the #1 SMG in the game for that reason. And then, of course, if we do take a look at the stats for the AZV-100 flashlight, you'll notice that you do get a little bit of reduction in the vertical recoil, and that sway, like I had told you all before, is going to come in handy. Anytime you are in high mobility or you are floating in the air, there's gonna be a lot of sway activity going on. So if you can reduce that at all costs, this is going to be able to help you just stay steady, right? Stay on the target. And I think in air is where you're usually going to notice the most bang for your buck. Now, for a long time, I do think the AZV-100 really only needed to have 3 specific attachments to just, come out and be useful. But you are going to start to see players now running, as I mentioned to you before, the spread attachments. So the 1.4x is going to be a very, very popular option for a lot of people. As you can see, just looking at the stats, we get a little magnification like always, but the 8% spread comes in handy. So a lot of folks may want to go with the 1.4x and the stabilizing foregrip instead of the stubby for a maximum accuracy type AZV. Do I personally like to use it? Not really. I think the penalties on it are pretty small, so it's not going to hurt you if you're like, you know what, it's an open slot, throw it on, and you could use it like this. Again, friendly reminder, if you want to swap that out to the stabilizing foregrip just to, again, maximize spread reduction, this is going to be a great build for you. But if you're looking for the default standard build, again, you do not need the sights on it. You can use it the way it is with those first attachments. And this is the #1 SMG in the game. The diamond in the rough has been found, polished, and redistributed as we continue to mine for it in the game. Take it for a spin. Moving forward to one of the sleeper SMGs that I think a lot of folks, well, honestly, a lot of folks are not giving a chance is the Kite. Now, the Kite in itself, there are some players taking it for a spin, but I think the Kite Liberator is the cream of the crop. The reason this weapon is going to be useful for a lot of players, you don't have to have any of that fancy build knowledge or do a lot of different experimenting. This is a higher fire rate, hard hitting variant of the Kite. So we don't have to worry about going into any of the attachments specifically, and you're gonna notice it has a high performance rate. Don't let the 48 bullet magazine fool you. This thing will take the target down with plenty of time to spare. And if you decide to run a soldier backpack on the side, running out of ammo should never be a problem for you. And if you're contemplating taking both of these, any of the SMGs right now, if you want to double up on any of the guns in this video, maybe you're running 2 Tacomas or 2 AZVs or 2 Kite Liberators or 2 M4s, those are all viable setups. Not necessarily what I would recommend, but they will all work because of the soldier backpack meta being so strong. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is a pistol, because you're probably wondering what is the cream of the crop when it comes to that. And I'll be honest with you, folks, there's really only a couple options. I think the TAP 9 in general, period. You could even get a based version, just a white TAP 9 off the ground, and it is going to treat you well. You can see here, if we were to go to the pistol section, it is going to be your highest damage pistol. And a lot of times we're only pulling this out to go ahead and get the finisher. Now, in my particular setup, I like to run the TAP 9 All-Stars variant. Some people do like the Pacifist. It's a little easier in terms of how to handle and aim while you're doing a lot of movement. And like I said before, the base model works just fine. But what I'm currently running on my fully modded out version is the All-Star 1.2x Mini Reflex Sight for the TAP 9, the noise suppressor, the compact laser, and the drum mag. I mean, look at this thing. Gotta admit, it looks pretty good. But all things aside, if you're looking for maybe one more alternative recommendation, the Kilowana is going to be a great option. Shinobi and the El Diablo are both going to be great options. El Diablo is a little bit slower, more harder hitting, kind of gives you that semi tap 9 kind of vibe. The Shinobi, still tried and true, very fast fire rate, very easy to aim, and would be my number 2 recommendation in the pistols. The All-Star Tap 9, number 2 being the Kiro Shinobi, number 3 probably being any other form of Tap 9, tied with the Kelowna El Diablo. So take it for a spin, see if you win. That's it, boys. We're going to wrap up now by moving forward to something that I think is probably more pronounced in this current meta. It kind of makes me reminisce like the good old days. Like if you were around during like early October or November of last year, the Proton was insane. And this is before we started to phase into the Kestrel meta. So first things first is going to be the Proton, and I call this one the 1.4 variant. So you're going to see a lot of players using this. Obviously, we get the spread reduction from the 1.4x like we had seen in the last video, but the new Proton hybrid compensator. Let's go ahead and check out the stats on this. You get great vertical recoil reduction, pretty decent horizontal recoil reduction in the ADS time. Anytime you're using a long-range barrel or long-range rifle of some sort, you're gonna want to have something that helps you pull this up quicker. Think about yourself when you're flying in the air, just finishing using a slam fist or something. You want to be able to weapon swap and get that out as quickly as possible. We like to team this up right now with the angled foregrip. Just adds really decent amounts of vertical recoil and horizontal reduction and a little bit of hip fire spread. There are going to be some moments where maybe you're not fully ADS'd on the weapon, and it's going to come in handy to have that reduced as well. You'll notice there's a big penalty to most of the premium attachments that give you recoil bonuses, such as ADS time. So that is part of the reason why we use the last attachment to balance the scales a little bit, right? And keep this weapon in a really just like tame and usable space. Barrel cooler has been the meta attachment for the Proton since the very beginning. As you can see, some more big gains in vertical recoil, but the muzzle velocity is what helps really kind of transform this weapon into a long range tool. The sway reduction is always a bonus. Remember, we're usually going to be trying to take some fights while we're out in the air, so we want to reduce that as much as possible. And I think for majority of most gamers, you're having trouble with vertical recoil. Don't let that 20% horizontal recoil make you worry in any way. I think ultimately the sway reduction will help you keep the control that you're looking for and pretty much wrap out this build. You're going to see a lot of players probably running this right now. If they're not running this specific variant, you will see version 2. Now, version 2 is kind of interesting, and this one's a little bit more focused on the range as well as stabilization. So, we run the heavy barrel. There's a lot of people who are probably asking questions about the adaptive, but the adaptive gives you big penalties on things like spread and ADS movement speed. So, if you find yourself needing to actually snipe, you're kind of like statuesque in a way, which isn't going to really benefit you in the long run for some of your exchanges. So the Proton Heavy Barrel gives us that ADS speed that we're looking for. Most importantly, that 10% fall off range to help you have that sniper rifle effect, and a big, big reduction in sway. If you're taking a lot of fights in air or you're trying to snipe people while you're in the air, I do recommend this particular build over the other one because it's going to give you that little bit of extra control that you're going to be looking for in the weapon long term. Now, in addition to that, the rugged suppressor is a great option. You'll get some additional bonuses in terms of vertical recoil, but the muzzle velocity again gets a big bonus. There is a large ADS time penalty, but we'll fix that here with our stabilizer in just a couple moments. And of course, that long range sniper rifle replacement that we're all looking for right now is brought to you by the combination of the heavy barrel and the rugged suppressor duo. So, something to think about if you're really trying to snipe people in those long range exchanges. Now, we got the stabilizing foregrip, and the reason why this one is so important is we do continue to stack up the vertical recoil and horizontal recoil. You'll notice that you do get another big penalty with the ADS time, and you get a big penalty with the sway. Some people may not like those penalties, so they're probably going to go with something along the lines of the stubby foregrip or even the angled foregrip. Just depends on what you want to go ahead and balance out. Do you want to be able to pull the weapon out quicker? Angled foregrip seems to be the go-to. Or are you really wanting to have more mobility while you're taking your shots? Personally, I actually like to run the stubby foregrip to kind of round out this build in its entirety. And as we talked about earlier, you got the barrel cooler to continue to stack on the vertical and muzzle velocity. So if you really think about it, we get the heavy barrel, we get the rugged suppressor, and the barrel cooler combination for maximum long range sniping. The way the current meta has been going, however, I think most of your exchanges are going to be happening from kind of close to medium range. You're not going to find enough opportunities to bring this to life, so this is really for folks just looking for a Kestrel alternative. I would recommend version 1, which we'll just revisit one last time with the 1.4x Proton hybrid compensator, angled foregrip for the Proton, and of course, last but not least, the barrel cooler for the Proton. Take it for a spin, see if you win. Speaking of sniper rifles, I wanted to make sure I threw a quick edit in because I didn't want to leave these out. But I think my initial opinion is that sniping is kind of dead right now. And I think it was one of the biggest skill gaps in the game, which they decided to nerf to the ground. And that is a big reason a lot of players are frustrated. But if you're curious at what some of those builds might look like, here is the sample version of the Piercer. Definitely a strong sniper rifle in general. It's just really hard to make work in a meta where the TTK is so fast. So we're running the Piercer 4X to 8X adjustable MR scope with the Piercer lightweight barrel and the noise suppressor for the Piercer. And we'll finally round it off with the angled foregrip for the Piercer. Take it for a spin. I think you're going to see some people using it from time to time, but it's just not going to really compete with the fast TTK right now. A Proton is going to get you that kill in at least 0.5 to a second faster than using any of the sniper rifle options. We have the Kestrel, the legendary fan favorite. Damn it, OTG, please make the Kestrel great again. All right? This is the number one reason I loved playing your game, was just the snipeability this weapon offered. But anyways, going over that, a lot of folks do like to run either the 1.4 or, for those long range experiences, the 3x or the, of course, 2.4, 2.5 to 4x adjustable. So all three of the scopes will work just fine with this build. So choose whatever fits your sniping style. Truthfully, I would rather just run the double up close version. And there are still a couple players out there who are running double no scope Kestrel. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's still a very strong setup if you run the doubled up version. The Kestrel lightweight barrel will be the second attachment we'll go ahead and throw on here, along with the angled foregrip for the Kestrel. And last but not least, we'll round it out with the Kestrel laser pointer. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details regarding these attachments. You can take some of the other tidbits that I'm going to cover in the other weapons throughout this video and apply that logic to these guns. But because they are not the top weapons in the meta anymore, there's really not a lot of value in me covering these in detail. Build the guns yourselves, take them out for a spin, and see how you like them. They'll still treat you really well. Also, since this was a quick edit in, just a fast honorable mention to one of the assault rifles. Where did I stash it? And that is going to be the Casper. This gun is decent, but it is still getting extremely outpaced by the AZV 100. So by no means is this a bad gun. You may have watched some of my older videos where I pretty much was begging the devs to make this gun great. It needs to really be able to compete in the meta. I don't understand why an AZV, which is an SMG, outpaces the assault rifle variant of this gun. But it does hit equally as hard, if not harder. It just doesn't have the fire rate to keep up with the AZV. I like running either. You can use either or on this one, the Kestrel lightweight barrel or the heavy. Just ask yourself, do you want to shoot further and have more control in the air, or do you like more fast mobility while using this particular weapon? With it being already slow to shoot, quicker ADS time is the thought process for me on this particular weapon, stacking it up with things like the noise suppressor for the Casper and the Casper laser pointer, and of course the drum mag, because more bullets means more opportunity. Wanted to get that in here really quickly and make sure I didn't leave anything out, but that is all I got. Let's move on to our next section. Next one is going to be the M4, and we got two variants that I think you guys are going to love. Honestly, three, to be completely honest with you. So take either of these for a spin and see how they treat you. So the first one here is going to be the original one from the prior video. Heavy barrel there for the range, noise suppressor there to kind of just, add some recoil bonuses. The stabilizing foregrip on this particular weapon, if we take a look at the stats, will help you with that spread. So it's just tightening up your shots along with a little bit of additional vertical and horizontal reduction. And then, of course, the drum mag is going to be automatic on every single weapon. This is your number 3 option. It's not the best of the M4 lineup right now. I do think the best is going to be this next one that I'm going to show you. And irregardless of which one I'm showing you, use the Enforcer until we see a nerf in the future. I know this one's shown on a regular M4, but it's just so that way I can give you guys both builds in the same video without having to construct the weapon all over again. So this one's really awesome, quick, reactive, kind of gives you that SMG type feel, but more importantly, allows you to handle a little bit more activity in the air. So this is running the M4 Commodore 1.4 Red Dot compact sight. And let's take a look at the stats on that one last time. This is going to tighten up that bullet spread like we had mentioned to you in the last build, right? It helps bring everything in tight, speeds up your ADS time, and of course you get that bonus magnification. The thing I really like about this attachment is the very minimal, penalty that you get on things like recoil, for example. This is a very, very strong attachment across most of the weapons in the game right now, so it's kind of an easy add. Now, when we stack that on something like the heavy barrel, we continue to get some more spread, even though this one's more focused on ADS to tighten up our shots, but we also get the fall off range, right? One of the key benefits to running an assault rifle is we got to trim down how far we have to take our opponent out. And the further away they are, we still want to be able to hit those shots. But the big 33% sway bonus is what's going to help you keep that aim steady, especially when trying to use in air, which we all know as experienced players is the optimal way to play right now. Little bit of an ADS time penalty, but it's honestly not that noticeable. And remember from the last attachment I just went over, we're already getting benefits from ADS time. So we've managed to kind of balance out this weapon in particular. Last but not least is going to be the stabilizing foregrip. We already kind of covered this, but just to see how it melds into everything else I've talked about, we get those recoil penalties back and we get more spread reduction. Everything in this game right now is being affected by the new weapon or bullet spread that's been introduced to the game. So using attachments to reduce this will really help you stand out and hit a lot more shots than you were in the past. So taking a look here, last but not least, will be the M4 Commodore Drum Mag. This ultimately, ladies and gents, will be your number one M4 option. Number 3, which is in the number 2 spot, however, is actually just going to be the free pre-built M4 Apex Predator. This one, honestly, is a really tight spread weapon by itself. So there's a lot of attachments that are already on here helping you reduce the spread natively. And it has a really fast ADS time. So it kind of offers a lot of the perks of our number 2 version that we had talked about. And it's already pre-built and you get extra attachments on it automatically built in because it's one of the Battle Pass weapons. So this came here from the last season Battle Pass or the most recent Battle Pass. So I think a lot of players are going to have their, have gotten their hands on this and be able to go ahead and take it for a spin. And yeah, use it. It's going to definitely help you get some dubs. When it comes to assault rifles, there's really only one more that I can think of, maybe, tossing in there as an honorable mention. It's definitely going to be the Terikon Maniac. Still remains one of the best guns right now. If I were to make any changes, this was actually one of the original builds that a lot of folks had been using. Remember bullet spread, right? I would go ahead and maybe swap that out to the 1.4x on top of there. I would definitely maybe go ahead and go with the stabilizing foregrip. And the laser pointer could help you out if you're doing hip fire type stuff, but I would probably switch this either to flashlight or just get rid of it completely and put some type of muzzle that's going to help you with longer range, right? Noise suppressor will give you 5% vertical velocity. Rugged is going to give you 7.5% muzzle velocity. So just some food for thought for those of you who are looking to kind of spice up the experience with it. And again, if you don't want to run a muzzle, my recommendation for you would probably be uh, the flashlight. So this is the current build that I think has been working really well. You're going to see a lot of players out there running the Maniac, and my belief is that they just can't afford to get the M4 Enforcer version right now. So that is really it when it comes to what weapons are cream of the crop. These are the best of the best. There is a really great website brought to you by Gunny. I do recommend you all go ahead and check it out whenever you have some time. It goes over all of the weapons, how fast they are. And I think a lot of times when we think about what is the meta weapon, it's very easy to maybe watch one of my videos and think that that's what's going to help you. Well, to be honest, it is going to help you. But if you feel like you've got enough experience in the game, my suggestion is maybe finding some of the weapons that do have some of those really ramped up kill times or short, right? The shorter, the better. So the ones that have really ramped up, short, small duration in terms of milliseconds, take that weapon for a spin and then experiment. See what attachments you like and see what attachments you don't like. And then take my golden piece of advice of reducing the bullet spread. That's going to be the number one thing holding you back from hitting shots right now. And that's a wrap like Reynolds when it comes to firepower. Let's talk a little bit about limbs, which thankfully isn't too diverse right now. I think one of my biggest gripes is that the devs continue to find really weird points in the game that prevent it from growing within diversity throughout the limbs. There's always these just like one or two limbs that stand out and are really overpowered for no particular reason. First and foremost, it's going to be Slam Fist and Roadrunners, like I told you all before. You don't need the purple ones. I think they help if you're willing to spend a little bit of extra money. So I would throw on the white ones just to save yourself a couple $100s and get your loadout as quickly as possible. Right now, with the current state of the game, survivability is pretty much zero. So reducing the cost of your loadout is going to be huge. I would recommend not running a sidearm, or if you are going to run a sidearm, remember what I told you before, just a plain simple tap 9 is going to do wonders for you and save you a lot of money. Whatever you can do to minimize is going to be huge. Leapers is going to be the same thing. I think when it comes to leapers, however, you will stick to the epic version. 3 jumps is better than 2, and of course, we don't want to go below that. And air mobility right now is in a really tricky place as a lot of the mouse and keyboard players continue to drop off. That leaves you with a community chocked full of super sweaty controller players. It doesn't matter what clan or community you think they're a part of, they will beam you out of the sky. So it's going to be a combination of fast, rapid movement and creativity that's going to really help you survive right now. So I would opt Roadrunners over Leapers, and the double slam fist meta is king because it's the only thing that kind of gives you that quick, instantaneous decision making and allows you to honestly just go whatever direction that you want to go. That's kind of the what and why you see a lot of players running double slam fist right now. One of the fun ones that I think is really cool, you could just totally get rid of all these weapons and actually just run something simple like a tap 9 all stars, and you can quite literally just run slam fist leapers and the maxi gun. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is actually a cracked loadout. Considering we don't have any other weapons we need to be running, you could switch over to the limb accelerator and just continue to work on your control. And it's very easy to get stuck in the maxi gun animation. So slam fist not only will be used to get vertical, but it can pull you out of that animation. So you can be in the middle of spraying, slam fist the moment shit starts to go south. And then use leapers to kind of get some aerial time, and as you're floating down, mow people down. Um, if you can get a teammate to dive a couple targets with you, they take the dive, you will be able to just leap up, mow everything down. It's a really good loadout. And, I think it was Selly. One of the folks over there at Merc actually put out their own video of using this exact loadout, just completely. I think they dropped a 30 bomb, just shredding everybody. So don't sleep on it. And it's honestly a lot of fun. Moving past that, I think we got Double Ghost is automatically going to be one of the best in the game. I mean, Ghost right now is still just really overpowered. I don't think the devs have really found a solution to this. And this is something I told y'all was going to happen. I told you if you've fucked around and messed with Paralyzer, you were going to make Ghost broken again. And well, it was right. I don't know why that keeps happening. Anyways, the other loadout that's going to be really strong, other than, of course, Double Ghost, is going to be Double Recon, man. Double Recon right now is just extremely valuable. If you want to save a little money, go a cheaper version of one arm and an expensive version of the other arm, or just double up on both arms being the premium cost, and keep that data up as frequently as possible. With Paralyzer getting completely nerfed to the floor, it kind of has pushed Recon even further up in the echelon of being a must-have limb. At least one of these on your team is really going to help you be able to take pushes, know where your target is, and remember, information is king and always will be. Other than that, ladies and gents, there isn't a whole lot. Couple friendly reminders to consider making simple loadouts for things like your limbs, legs, or even just a gun, because with the survivability issues the game's experiencing right now, you're going to need options to get you back into the game ASAP. Whether you are okay with grabbing something maybe from a drone kit and using limbs out of your own loadout, or vice versa, you get some guns out of the drone kit and you just want to use some legs, or you found some really good limbs on the ground and you just want to buy some guns, You need to get creative, because if you die with your loadout with the game in its current state, odds are you will not be able to buy a second one unless you're locked in and playing with a team to help take you to the finish. Some food for thought. When it comes to backpacks, you're going to see in 99.9% of my builds, Soldier Backpack is the way. It's so weird that at one point, Soldier Backpack disappeared and became all Limb Accelerator. And now it's kind of all Soldier Backpack. And, well, Limb Accelerator just doesn't really have a place. If you are, however, running two of the same limbs, so if we were to go back to this example loadout where we're running two recons, this is where Limb Accelerator probably will come in handy to keep the uptime on these limbs as long as possible. And that's really it, ladies and gents. I'm sure a lot of you have some questions, other than where you've been and how do I think the future of the game is looking. And well, I think everyone may already know the answer to that, so I won't waste my breath. It's not very optimistic. I do want to call one thing out, and I'm going to make a whole video about it this week. And it's been a little bit late. I just had a lot of stuff going on in IRL and not putting my time and dedication in a dead game, to be honest with you. And it's some of the stuff that I've been seeing on Reddit and some of the stuff that I've been seeing on X. And the first thing I need to say is that all of you people who continue to say that this game is being catered to the sweats are wrong. And you're bad. Find a new game, please, because you're contributing to the downfall of the game. Actually, most of these updates, no matter how much you complain or say you dislike them, were done for players like you. The sweats do not like the game. The sweats are leaving the game, which how much you guys piss, moan, and cry on places like Reddit in particular should be making you happy. I thought the world would be a better place with less sweats to go against. But it seems like every day you get on there, it's just constant crybabies about how hard the game has become. And the reality is like several hundred top tier players are not playing the game. And if they are, their frequency has drastically shot downward. They don't want to play this. I said that in my rant video. They do not want to play this. So you guys need to keep grinding. And to all the other stuff that's been going on X, I know y'all seen me kind of calling out a couple of the developers. They are trying way too hard to say the game is doing well and that the players or the daily players have been increasing. It's all bullshit. And I will be covering that in my next video about all the weird you know what? Lies. Theodore, you tried to call it out and say it's rude to call you a liar. Well, then stop doing it and we won't have to. But I'm going to stop here because that's what the next video is going to be for, ladies. This was Loadouts to help you win games here in May. And I just want to say thank you to all the love and support, all the subscribers, follows, even if you just came through and threw me a view. I appreciate you. Till next time, folks. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all be easy.